cameras, and I'll do a full speed comparison at some point, but let's hit on the cameras. Now, as I stated previously, we have a triple camera setup on the iPhone 12 Pro with a LiDAR sensor and a dual camera setup on the iPhone 11, all 12 megapixel sensors on both phones. The only difference is we have an additional telephoto lens on the iPhone 11 Pro, on the iPhone 12 Pro. With the iPhone 11, we only have that 12 megapixel wide and 12 megapixel ultra wide. So we have the ultra wide and the telephoto and the LiDAR sensor on the iPhone 12 Pro. Now, in terms of the user interfaces on both, I'm pretty sure they're going to be exactly the same. And, so far, actually, I don't know why. Maybe is the iPhone 11 camera looking a little bit better to me than the iPhone 12 Pro? Maybe it's just, from the blurriness or something like that. But, they're both going to have pretty much the same features, 4K at 60 on both of them. And I'll probably tell you the iPhone 11 camera may not be as good as the iPhone 12 Pro, mostly because it doesn't have the LiDAR sensor and the telephoto lens that the iPhone 12 Pro has. Now, the iPhone 11's camera from day one has been extremely good. I had very little to complain about. I think, if you're somebody who just doesn't really care about the quality of the photos, you want the best quality with the least amount of resistance, the iPhone 11 is a perfect phone. You have a great back camera and you have a great front camera. You have 12 megapixel sensor. They're both almost the same on both. 4K at 60 on this camera. Very, very good. Like I said, very little to complain about. It's not like you're going to pick up this phone and feel like you have an outdated phone already. That is definitely not the case, especially compared to the iPhone 12. But even compared to the 12 Pro, you're going to have a pretty good setup for, the iPhone 11. And I think for people who are making Snapchats and TikToks, iPhone 11 is perfectly fine. But the 12 Pro, I guess, is the better phone because it has to be better. With that A14 chip, it probably brought some improvements, but I still think for a majority of people out there, if you have an iPhone 11, it's still good enough. But this camera should be better. It has better camera setups, it has better lenses, it has more lenses than this one. So that's another big thing to note. You're still tapped out of 4K at 60 on both cameras. You have 4K at 60 on the front camera too. Whenever we see that 8K jump up, I think that's when it's going to be pretty big. But I'll definitely tell you the 12 Pro has the better camera, but the iPhone 11's camera is really pretty good too. And I still think it's like 90% of what the iPhone 12 Pro's camera is. So in terms of camera, that pretty much covers it out.